We start our chair build here with laying out our templates, labeling them, and laying them out on the lumber we have, then cutting them to the appropriate sizes for what we need to bandsaw out later. So here we are with one template piece, laying it out on the board there and labeling it. What we're doing is trying to pick the pieces of the board that we want without knots, nice grain pattern. See the knot there? Don't want that. Now with our pieces laid out, we can start cutting the boards to their rough length here in order to be bandsawed later. We'll just simply keep moving down, cutting on the lines that we had made earlier, getting rid of all the knots and unwanted pieces that we truncated during our initial layout. Here we're just continuing the process with our other template pieces. It's the same thing throughout the whole set. Rinse and repeat, cut, and this is the first step in preparing the lumber to be shaped into the components necessary to build our chairs. Now that all our lumber is cut and labeled, I've decided to throw them in the kiln for a couple days to get some of the excess moisture out. Then we're off to the bandsaw. Now that our lumber is out of the kiln for a couple days, we're going to plane it down for a smoother surface and get it a little bit flatter. For the larger pieces such as the hind legs and the armrest that will require two pieces glued together, we're just going to rip the edge off of one side of each of those boards so that we can glue them later. What we're doing here is laying out where we want to put the dominoes to aid in joining these pieces together. What we want to be is within the template piece. We also want this joint to be on the widest part of that template piece that we can get it. So with this layout, we'll be able to achieve that when we cut after we join these boards. Here we are using the domino to drill for our dominoes into the boards on each side. Then we just simply glue everything up, spreading the glue evenly. You'll notice there's no glue on the ends of my boards there. That's because that end material falls outside of where I'm gonna need to cut for the template, so no real good reason to glue it. The rest of it though, we'll spread the glue very nicely, glue our dominoes, and then we'll clamp everything together. With everything lined up and coming together now, we'll gently place them closer to each other before putting the clamps, and then we will put the clamps and draw it in tight. Now that all of our material is prepped, we can start putting the templates on the material, outlining them, getting them ready to be cut in the bandsaw. So what I'm doing here is trying to get this piece as close to the edge of the board as possible, so that way I can put the other piece on, the other template piece on there as well, so I can get 2 for 1 basically out of this length of board. So here we are cutting on the bandsaw. What we want to do is get close to the line, but not on it, so that way when we go to use our actual templating bit, there's enough material that we get a nice clean edge. So we'll just keep working our way through these pieces until we have the rough shape of what we're going to refine later on the router table. Here's just another angle of me working on the bandsaw. You can see I have the depth set on the bandsaw just above the thickness of the board. That way the bandsaw blade stays as straight as possible. This is where I think it starts getting fun. What we're going to do here is we are just going to attach our template right to the board itself. I'm using 3 short screws here because I intend to fill these holes later or have them on the underside. And then we're off to the router table. So I have the bit on this router table set up so the bearing rides along my template. This is a templating bit, and what we're doing is just running it right on through that bearing, riding against the template itself and the blades cutting into our lumber there. This produces a nice smooth edge, follows your template exactly, and it's very easy to do. So you just keep doing this for all your pieces. Please like and subscribe. In the next video, we'll be covering the more complicated pieces and moving on to the assembly of our chairs. Thank you.